Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on our presentation on SEED and SEL in Nevada. My name is Marie Dufresne. I am the Education Programs Professional for Social Emotional Academic Development for the Office for a Safe and Respectful Learning Environment at the Nevada Department of Education. It is my pleasure to welcome my co-host, Michelle Mickey Trujillo, who is a school climate specialist and consultant in the Office for a Safe and Respectful Learning Environment at the Nevada Department of Education. Together, we bring over 40 years of experience in education in Nevada. Thank you all for joining us today. We would like to begin by providing some information and some definitions of social emotional learning, which we lovingly refer to as SEL, and social emotional academic development, which is SEED. In our state, you may hear both terms, and we want to be able to differentiate them. Social emotional learning, or SEL, is a lifelong process through which children and adults ages 2 to 92 acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand, manage, and regulate emotions and feelings, set and achieve positive personal, professional, academic goals, feel and show empathy for one another, establish and maintain those positive relationships which we know are so critical to all of us, and make responsible decisions across diverse cultural contexts. Social emotional academic development is the interconnected relationship between academics and social emotional skills that reinforce equitable and human-centered educational environments. This is a way of being for all, ages 2 to 92. And for Mickey and I, this holds a special place in our hearts.
That it does, Marie, that it does. And we also think it's important for educators and others across the state of Nevada to know that we've adopted the 5 competencies as defined by CASEL. And just to make sure we all have the same common language, there are 2 self-competencies. There's self-awareness and self-management, 2 social awareness competencies, social awareness and relationship skills, and then a cognitive competency, responsible decision making. And when we talk about what we offer through our office when it comes to SEED or to SEL, everything that we do is really through the lens of these 5 competencies. And why is SEED or SEL important? I think it's important to lay that out a little bit here as we talk about what is available in regard to supports and services that we provide through our office. Why do you even want it? Why do you need it? Well, obviously, it starts with our students and all that they're going through in the world today, but even pre-pandemic. So many of our students come into our classrooms carrying heavy burdens. They're going through things at home. There may be some instability. And here we want to just hit them with our, best instructional practices. And some of us as teachers, and Maria and I both have been in the classroom, we wonder, why isn't this taking? Sometimes it's not taking because there's more on a student's mind than whatever we're trying to teach. And so SEL or SEED, it helps us to be cognizant of this. We also know across the nation, there has been research that asks, does SEL really matter? The research says to us, yes, it does. We've seen it improve pro-social behavior, help improve attitudes of students about others, about themselves, about school. We've seen it to prove a reduction in discipline problems or behavior problems and an increase in attendance. We've showed it to show a reduction in emotional distress of students. The big one, always, we look back at all the emphasis on testing. SEL, when integrated into school culture and explicitly taught in the classroom, students actually demonstrate up to a 14%. This study notes an 11%, but up to a 14% gain in standardized tests, and also just 23% gain in social and emotional skills when students are taught behaviors explicitly. This is just another way to look at it. We think about teaching SEL skills, teaching SEED in the classroom. How does it impact a student's future? Well, employers say 80% of them, that SEL skills are extremely important in success. Colleges, by the way, say this as well. Educators, 90% of educators in this study said that social emotional learning benefited students. They saw it in their own classrooms with increased behavior and academics. We also want to think about the student. This study was just a couple years ago, and they measured 75% of the words that students used were negative when it came to talking about school. Think about that. If students look at school and talk about school in a way that is positive, they're more likely to be successful. And finally, we've got to look today through the lens of COVID-19. We are living in the midst of a global pandemic. It is so important that we consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you'll note in this visual, school comes at the top. That means instruction, right? Really, what we need to look at is physiological needs and safety needs, the needs of love and belonging, the needs of students to feel stable. This is what's important first and foremost. And then we get to instruction. You hear people say unprecedented. This is an unprecedented pandemic. And that word has lost a little bit of its meaning. Please understand that unprecedented is what it says. It's once in a century pandemic. And so we have to do things differently. This doesn't occur every day. So we've got to start looking at setting instruction aside just for a moment so that we can take care of our students, their families, and each other, as well as ourselves, in order to help us to give the best instructional practices we can give. And that leads us to, why is adult SEL? Why is SEL important for adults? Well, first and foremost, our kids are watching us. And as much as educators today, we've seen so much resilience in educators. They're being flexible, you're being creative, you're being tolerant and patient. And in the midst of it all, some of you are overwhelmed. Some of you are feeling that you're under-resourced. You're feeling emotionally and physically burdened. And so we've got to remember that you can't pour from an empty cup, right? SEL skills help us as adults to learn how to take care of ourselves. And I know we hear the term self-care and we think, gosh, that's one more thing on our plates. We don't have time for it. So a lot of our trainings, we try to help you learn how to integrate self-care into your very way of being. Marie used that term. SEL and SEED start first and foremost as a way of being. We did a survey of staff and families across our state. And I just want to show you this one piece of the survey. This just came out a few weeks ago. And when we look at how staff rated their mental health stressors, 75% of the staff surveyed, and there were about 2,370 who responded, said health was a major concern for them, that put a stress on their lives. That caring for loved ones, 54% said that's a stressor. Look at this number, 76% of the staff who filled out this survey said that they're having feelings of burnout. They're overwhelmed. And 84% were concerned about their own well-being. So adult SEL, starting with the adults, is absolutely imperative in this moment.
Thank you, Mickey. That leads us into a very special opportunity that I would like to tell you about today, which is our Nevada Seed Center, which is a free virtual support system on Canvas for all educators statewide who are interested in developing social, emotional, and academic development skills, which reinforce equitable environments and student success. I'd like to take you through now some of the activities offered through the Seed Center. First of all, we have professional development modules. Again, this is for any educator, certified or classified staff, where you can earn up to 15 CEUs or hours for your renewal license. And these can be taken one at a time, or you can choose which topic to decide to have your session on. We also provide ongoing training and coaching through the virtual Nevada Seed Center. We have weekly live office hours for SEL and SEED. We have a guest speaker series and online lunchbox learning sessions. All of these are recorded and put onto our Seed Center so that they can be viewed at a later time. We will be having a book study. We have a community of practice where we have a group of individuals who meet a few times a month who talk about collective efficacy, equity, and look at the issues today of SEL and SEED and how to better advance those. We have a group SEL self-care support groups, an online resource library covering a variety of topics. We also have discussion and reflection threads where we can network with one another and learn from each other. And we have daily wellness sessions online. The Seed Center opens on March 1st. And if you would like to register for an email reminder and login information, please scan the QR code shown here and you will receive that information.
Marie, I love that QR code. It's so easy. I tried it and it just takes you right to the site. It's awesome.
Wonderful.
I do want to share with you, in addition to the Seed Center, we have other virtual or in-person SEL and SEED professional learning opportunities. And you might ask yourself, well, who is this for? Everybody, from school board members to district leaders, site administrators, certified and classified staff, students, families, and community partners. The role of our office is to support you in your SEL and SEED needs. And what do we train on? Specific to SEL and SEED, we have an introductory type of training. We have adult SEL and self-care in the midst of adversity. This has been something that really has resonated with educators, both classified and certified staff today. We have culturally responsive adult SEL and SEED. And really everything we do is through the lens of equity. So I want to be sure to say that. But this is specific to strategies to be culturally responsive. We have an equity and engagement presentation that really helps us to engage students who are coming from a place of poverty or coming from a place where perhaps they haven't had as much access as other students. And it helps us to increase our awareness as to how to engage students who maybe haven't been as engaged in the past at no fault of their own. We also, some of you know, we have the school climate survey in the state of Nevada, and we will come out and help you evaluate that survey and action plan with you around the survey. We provide professional learning opportunities in the realm of staff or student morale support. So if you're having a hard time with your staff, because as we said, people are overwhelmed right now. We have some trainings that engage educators in fun and in reminders of why did they choose this vocation in the first place. It seems to be really helpful for people. We also can provide support for SEL at home or for families. Sometimes we'll come to a community, we'll do support for staff, and then we'll hold a parent meeting in the evening, and it's been very successful. As Marie said, we have a community of practice. We also have a work group on SEL standards development. We'd love your input on that. If you're interested, just reach out to us. And then finally, any school climate, school culture support that you think you may need, contact us. We can customize any of these trainings or any of these topics to meet your needs. And finally, I think it's important to say that everything we do through the MTSS framework lens. So we always look at it through tiered interventions and supports, which I know is just one component of MTSS, but we always incorporate that lens. And why? Why do we do this? I mean, the why is first, right? It's our mission to provide youth and adults with evidence-based SEED and SEL support at the school, the district, and state level through this multi-tiered system of supports framework and an equity lens. And what it comes down to is hope. Our hope for the future. We are hoping that what we can provide in support and resources and guidance will bring you hope.
Thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time to be with us to learn about SEED and SEL in Nevada. If you would like more information or would like to schedule a training, you can contact me, Marie Dufresne. My information is on the screen. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.
Take care.